Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show. Here we go.
What up, thou? Welcome to the Boss and the Sauce Show Tailgate Talks edition. That's what we're doing today. And in the hot box today, I have my man over from MooseMoney Bets. MooseMoney Bets in the house. How you feeling, Moose?
Big boss. I mean, best time of the year. Am I talking right? And you got some baseball playoff action going. You got college football starting up. You got NFL starting up. I mean, time is beautiful right now. And I got the guy, my boy, DJ Big Boss. Come on. Let's get going.
Hey, well, I could have probably did a better introduction, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the people, let them know exactly what you got on, where to find you, and all those different details before we jump into this tailgate talk.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter or X. I'm not sure what the vernacular is, but I'm at MooseMoney Bets. You can kind of see it right down here. I'm doing a couple of shows this year. I'm doing some live streams with my boy at Picks from Dave. I've also got a morning show that's going to be on Pub Sports. That's going to be with at Dabby Capp. Going to be doing that morning preview show. Boss, I know you know all about that show. So open invitation anytime you, Ragu, anybody's available. We'd love to have you on. But you guys can find me there. And really, more than anything, I'm ready for football. I'm ready for college football.
Hey, well, you can count on me over there because I'll tell you guys, ladies and gentlemen, when I brought up the tailgate talks and what's going on in this show, there's not a lot of cappers that I can reach out to that could really handle being in the heat today. So you ready for this heat, Moose?
It's been so hot here in San Diego, man. I'm ready for the heat. Come on.
So this is how the show is going to go down. First, I got a number of coaches changes for the year. I'm going to shoot them to you, and you tell me what you think, and we're going to keep or they cap. Then the next part of the show, we're going to go over to some athletes that have transferred over to some new schools, taking some new roles, and I want you to know if they're going to be a big deal or is this no deal. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to go over some teams that have a lot of returning players and some hopefuls for the year. And my man MooseMoney Bets is going to let you know if it's going to be a bang or a bucks. So you got your coffee, water, whatever you need? You ready for this journey?
Ooh, I am ready, been ready. Let's take it off on here.
Hey, well, let's jump right in. First up, Nick Saban is out at Alabama. Have a great retirement and hope to see you back somewhere in football, period, because you're a great soul to the game of football. And then comes in Kalen DeBoer. This guy's really aggressive, kind of innovative guy. He went from Fresno State to Washington. Now he's at Alabama. They couldn't have picked a better man for the job for me. But MooseMoney Bets, keep him or is this cap?
Honestly, this is probably the most difficult one because he's come in after a couple of big profile coaches at Fresno State. When he took over, Tedford was there and he took over a good program. And I don't think oh my God, Jimmy Lake. I don't think Jimmy Lake gets a ton of credit for what he did at Washington. Those were some really bad teams. And he came in as a DB secondary guy, kind of solidified some things on the back end. My big question about this is who his assistants are, because he brought in some questionable assistants. I'm going to go keep, though, because all he does is win. That's all he's done. Everywhere he's gone has been a winner. So I'm going to keep him, but I'm a little suspicious of some of the other pieces around him out there in Alabama, because that's Bama. They don't tolerate anything but winning. So I'm going to keep him, but I got some questions. I got a couple of questions about what I might see.
That'll give us something to look forward to going into the season. So I hope everybody who's watching this is excited because we're going to get to see how this rolls out this year. Next up, Jed Fish is down from Arizona in a good way. He lands a new home. But Brent Brennan, first chance of his coaching career where he gets a pure opportunity to show what he really can bring to the table, because everyone knows that coaching in San Jose State is not the best coaching job in college football. What do you think right here? Keep Brent Brennan or is this Capp?
It's interesting to look at kind of the history of some of the coaches that have come out of the Mountain West and into some of the big time. I mean, the most notable one would be Brady Hoke when he left San Diego State and went to Michigan and, just kind of flopped out there in Michigan and quickly came back to San Diego State. I like Brennan, though. He's an offensive guy. You look at some of his teams back in San Jose State, dude, they put up like 40, like on average. Like they were good offenses. He's got some solid assistants that he brought in. The defensive coordinator has been around Arizona for 12 years. He hasn't been in the position of DC, but he's been around the program for 12 years, and that's helpful. The only issue that I really look at, he has been horrific on the road, and he has been really bad on the road. On the road in his career, I got the note here. He's been 11-28, and Big Boss, that's not good. You can't survive like that. I'm going to keep him. Because I love his offensive mindset. Arizona seems like that's kind of their identity, is that they're going to be more of an offensive team, even though there are some pieces that have been kind of leaving. But I'm going to keep him. But the road issue might rear its ugly head here in a little bit. It might rear its ugly head a little bit.
Yeah, the road issue could also turn into, versus top 25 groups issues as well. So, and that's the hump that all the coaches are trying to get over. They want to be good versus those ranked opponents.
And that's a great point because he has never played a team in the top 25.
Yeah, so that's going to be another one to watch. We thank you, but we're going to keep that guy and move on to the next one. Here we go. Mike Elko, a guy I like and highly respect. He goes off for some better things in life, of course, and they bring in Manny Diaz. Now, me, myself, personally, I'm not a big fan of Manny Diaz, but he has a solid history coming in here. What do you think about Manny Diaz at Duke?
No, this is probably the worst hire I've seen. I agree with you. I'm glad you said that because I didn't want to have to, hear you go, yeah, he's a really good coach. He's done some good things. Like, he had a really talented team in Miami, and they were not good. I mean, they were bad. And you can blame it on COVID year and all that kind of stuff, but he was very questionable with his time management. There were some things down the stretches of games. You're like, wait, what the hell? He's not calling a timeout here. At Penn State, one of the number one things I saw was questionable play calls. Like there would be what looked like it was going to be a strong side run, and he blitzes from the weak side. And it's like, oh, okay, that's exactly what the offense wanted, and you are feeding right into it. I'm not having this guy. I think Manny Diaz is a little overhyped. I mean, quite a bit overhyped. He's been very inconsistent at times. He's had one of the best defenses in the nation at Penn State the last couple of years, and they did not live up to that hype. I mean, they were good. They were really good. But there were times where you'd see teams go up and down the field. They were better in the red zone. But I am not about Manny Diaz. I am on the same board with you, Big Boss. I'm not keeping this guy. Move on from him.
It's all Capp. Let's go. Next up, this was a must replace because of Mel Tucker. But recently in July, Mel Tucker filed a lawsuit against the opposition and said that this was unrightful here. But Michigan State lands Jonathan Smith. Jonathan Smith, very talented coach, but in the state of where Michigan State is right now, keep him or Capp?
I'm going to go Capp. Main reason, struggles on the road and struggles against top teams. You're at Michigan State. You're going to be playing a lot more better teams now. So I know he's had some real success at Oregon State. And Oregon State was one of those programs that were like every year it seemed like they would just build up and up and up and up as the season went on. But I think that this is going to be a much different environment. You also alluded to it, Mel Tucker and the whole drama around it. I mean, how much of that is infiltrating to the players? Reporters are asking those questions. Is he the guy that can handle that? I think he's a great X's and O's guy. I think he is an X's and O's guy. But is he capable of leading a team on the road? Is he capable of leading a team against the top 25? Again, on the road, he's been 10-21. Versus top 25, he's been 4-10. So when he's had to face better competition or he's had to go on the road, he has not lived up to the challenge. So I'm going Capp on him. Although I do like his X's and O's, but I am going Capp.
You heard it right here first on the Tailgate Talks. Next up, Jimbo Fisher cashed that man out, $77 million. But they land Mike Elko, a great-minded coach who is suited for the job. What do you think about this with Texas A&M right here? Moose Money, you on the spotlight.
Yeah, keep him 100%. I mean, he's a great coach. The only major question I have is his teams get a little streaky. If you look at his last year, they won the first 4, lost 3 of the next 4, and then won 3 of the last 4. And damn near the exact same thing in 2022. In 2021, won the first 3, won the first 3 of 4, and then lost the rest. So he has been streaky. But we're also talking about Duke. So, I mean, getting streaky at Duke is an accomplishment. I mean, the fact that you're able to put those many wins together in a short amount of time is impressive. He's got a very good assistance group as well. I think A&M is going to be taking some leaps forward. I'm not sure if they are capable of being a top echelon team. You know, that first game against Notre Dame is going to tell, but one of the things Elko does, or actually, I'm not sure if I should go Elko or how my phone likes to say it, Elmo, but he's got a very big test against your Irish. But the Irish lost one of their main left tackles, and one thing Elmo, one thing he does is he is very, very good with lines, and I wouldn't be shocked if this ended up being a top 5 team in the playoffs, national title contender. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they were kind of mid this year, kind of, have some ups, have some downs. I really like Elko. I could talk about this guy for a while because he's done some amazing things. He's accomplished quite a bit. So I'm keeping Elko. Love that guy.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. The sweetness to Elko to me is the fact that his class, he comes from a really high level class of coaches who he's coached under, players that he's coached, and people that he's worked with. So he knows what it takes to get to the top. But we down to our last keeper, Capp, right here. We talked about it earlier, but here we go. Kalen DeBoer, we talked about going to Alabama, but Jed Fish comes over from a great season at Arizona and jumps into this Washington spot, but there's no more Pac-12. What is Jed Fish going to do right here at Washington? Keep him or Capp?
You got to keep him for at least 3 years. You got to keep him for 3 years because he was able to do that at Arizona. It took him 3 years, but he got it done. He brings his offensive coordinator with him. That's huge. There's too many times the head coach will get hired and they bring in a whole new system, and it's like, didn't you get hired because of the system you had, and now you're trying to do a whole new system? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. He's still not a good, consistent road team. I expect that's going to get better as he has a little more time, but is he going to give time? Keep him. You have to keep him, though. You have to stay committed to the big picture, to the long term. If he's able to stick around, I think he's going to be a very good coach. But those first couple of years here at UW, they're not going to be great. Like, this first year, I expect is going to be bad. If you stay committed to him, let him get his players in, let him build up the program. Look what he does in year 3, because that's the big year. I think a lot of us as cappers know year 3 is the year that you start to see that trend, and it happened at Arizona. I wouldn't be shocked if it happens here.
So from capping to cappers, and we are cappers, that's why we on this show. So sounds like you kind of got an auto fade on Washington there. What you think?
Yeah. I mean, I took their win total under. They have a pretty difficult schedule, but I keep them, like I said. But this year, I cap UW as a rebuild year, and I think it could be a very tough year.
We're going to move over to something a little bit bigger. And this is players that are moving from in the transfer portal for one team to another team. And I spoke on some shows before that this is a common thing that's going on, and sometimes it makes a big difference, and sometimes it's not much of a big deal. So we're going into big deal or no deal. First up, KJ Jefferson from Arkansas, where I would say he undershot himself plenty of times, and injury kind of screwed him up a lot. But he goes over to UCF, where Gus Malzahn says he reminds him of one of his top quarterbacks that he coached before. And what do you think about this one? Big deal or no deal for KJ?
First, he's not Cam Newton. All right, let's just drop that. He is not going to be Cam Newton. He's a top 30 quarterback, but man, it's in the bounce house. I think he's going to be very good, and he did play well on the road. But I'm not buying that now. All of a sudden, he's going to be a Heisman level candidate quarterback. He's good, but he's not Cam Newton level. I mean, you can appreciate a coach gassing up his player, but No, he's not. He's not that elite of a guy. I'm not going to bet on UCF just because KJ Jefferson is there.
There it is right now. I had a small concept thinking of KJ Jefferson, just going from the SEC over to the Big 12, size wise. In the SEC, when he does what he does on the ground, those guys can hammer him down. But I think he's taking a class down, and when he gets loose in the Big 12, he could have a lot more time getting downfield on those guys than he did in the SEC. But that's the only small edge I see right there. Gus Malzahn tries to say that it's a match between his skill capability and what he has going on there. So if that's true, we could all be surprised by this guy right here. I think that I don't know. He's I almost wouldn't say he's a big deal or no deal, but I would say he's probably some deal. I'm gonna have to add that some deal.
Yes, I would agree with that. That's honestly that's the perfect way to say it, because you don't want to say he's a big deal when he can't, when you're gonna have every box stacked against him. You can't say he's no deal because that's a great point. Going SEC kind of taking a step down. Now some of those defenders are going to be a little smaller in size. He should have more success, but I'm not going to bank on him being the guy that you're going to see in New York at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Let's keep it moving. Now, some of these picks that I have here are personal, and they're for cappers and people who really do this. So if you get a name or something that you're not sure of or whatever, hey, just be honest. But it ain't nothing crazy. You probably know everything. Like I said, you were the first person that came to mind because I'm like, not everybody can handle what we got going on right here. So big deal or no deal. Next up, Trevor Etienne left Florida like a bad habit and moves on to Georgia, expecting who knows what, the 3-peat championship. I don't know. What do you think right here? Big deal or no deal?
I mean, I think it's somewhat of a big deal. It's kind of similar. Georgia's got a pretty decent running back room because it's not going to be just ATN. Like, they've got other guys. You just look at some of their guys that they got back there. They've got, Cash Jones is back there. Branson Rodriguez is back there. I mean, that's one of the big names is Branson Rodriguez. He's a highly touted guy. So it's not just going to be ATN. If ATN goes down, they're not going to feel that loss at all. But is ATN a very, very good player? Yes, he is a very, very good player. He is explosive. But he's not going to change like that Georgia team. Like, they're going to be good. They're going to be really good. But if ATN goes down, they got other guys behind him that are also very, very good. So somewhat of a big deal, but this is not a game changer. Georgia just keeps on getting guys year in, year out. Shout out to Kirby Smart and what he's done over there. But this is just some deal. Don't expect it to be the number one factor in what leads to their success, but I like ATN. I do. And I think he can be a difference maker when he's on the field on a team full of difference makers.
Well, I love ETN. I think it's a great opportunity for him, especially with the line and the coaching that they have over there. But the offense over there is kind of pro set, really basic. Probably gets them better for the NFL, regardless of what they do as a team for the season. But I've got an underseason total on Georgia, believe it or not,
Okay.
because of the inside information which they keep shoveling under the door, is that these guys are getting in big trouble down there in Georgia. All that has to do with vehicles. It goes back to 2 years ago after the national championship where the coach got in an accident with a player that died, all that good stuff. But several players on Georgia squad are getting DUIs and all type of criminal trouble. And guess what? ETN ain't even been there that long, and he's already got an allegation going of DUI. He said he drank 3 beers. Now, if you tell the police you drank 3 beers, he was probably pretty loaded. But I don't know. I think this could be the decline. And we start thinking about where's Kirby Smart going after Georgia, so he can get more money as well. So winning isn't everything all the time to some of these guys. This is their career, so they have to play it accordingly. But let's keep it going. Next up, Boom, Cameron Ward goes from Washington State because he didn't want to be left in the pack nobodies and jumps over to Miami, where he's supposed to be a big deal over here. What do you think? Big deal or no deal right here for Cameron Ward?
I mean, I think a lot of this is dependent on Mario Cristobal. Like, is he able to actually get this Miami team to do the right thing? Big issue with Cam Ward was fumbles. All right, he lost the ball an awful lot. What was it? He lost the ball. He had 12 fumbles last year. I mean, that's a significant amount of fumbles for a guy that's supposed to throw the ball and not run with the ball all that much in the offense that they had at Washington State. I do like him. He is a very good quarterback. He was probably the number one guy available in the transfer portal for the quarterback position. It is just a question of, will they be able to put it together at Miami? And I like Ward, but Miami's got so many questions marks. So I would say it is probably a big time move because you had to have a guy to replace Van Dyke, and Van Dyke had an underperforming year. But does that mean Ward's going to have an underperforming year or what? But I like Ward. I think he's an outstanding quarterback. He gives you a lot of options. He can be a dual threat. It's just ball security. Can he cut down on those turnovers? If he's able to cut down on turnovers, if he's able to still be productive, I think Miami's going to be a legit team. So I would say he's probably a big time. He's a big deal going from Washington State over to Miami. But it is very dependent on Cristobal and what they do as a program.
Well, Cameron Ward, I don't know. In the streets, we'll call him a hood hopper. I mean, he goes Florida State, Washington State, now Miami. Those show signs of function in the player themselves, let alone the family, the travel, the different environments. Who knows what the real deal is with this kid? And I don't know. I don't know, but when you look at his skill set and how he plays on the field, big deal. But I don't know if we at the end ropes. Some of these players are on their 6th and 7th year in college and all kinds of crazy stuff because of the pandemic. So I don't know. I'm question marks on that one. I thank you for coming to answer that one, but I got another one for you, and this one kind of puzzles me. Boom, Dylan Gabriel goes from Oklahoma over to Oregon, and I put the wrong picture I put the one when he was from UCF. But anyways, Dylan Gabriel over to Oregon in this spot. Big deal or no deal? Oregon is predicted number 2 in the Big Ten coming in there. So what do you think Dylan Gabriel is right here for this squad?
I mean, first off, Big Boss, you probably didn't even need to mention the uniform thing because Oregon runs so many uniforms. I would have bought if
They probably had a gold and black Oregon Duck uniform.
They probably have, and if they haven't, they probably will. I try when I'm talking here about all these things, I'm trying not to do off the field stuff. Just trying to go what you would see on the field. Why did Gabriel leave? Why did he go to Oregon? What was it about Oklahoma in last year that made him go, I need to find a better spot for me. I need to be in a better place. So what was going, is that more of a say on Oklahoma, or is that more of how enticing it was at Oregon? I mean, maybe he really likes the atmosphere at Oregon and he wants to get out of the Oklahoma heat, which I don't blame him. I mean, I did a baseball tournament one time in Oklahoma. It was awful. So I don't know, but is he one of the best quarterbacks potentially in college football right now? Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. But it's just a matter of what was the motivation? What was the genesis behind him going from Oklahoma to Oregon? I still think I think all the hype is justified with what they have at Oregon and the amount of talent they have. And I think he is a big deal. He has to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football, moving from one team to another. You can't say it's not, but I'm a little I think a lot of us, oh, wait, what? Really? Why? What happened? So big deal, but kind of what happened?
Hey, to add more flame to the fire, they bring in Dante Moore from UCLA, and who could just as very well be a starter himself. So more of why and how, but I'm gonna leave the coach over there alone because I thought Bo Nix was a bum, and he turned Bo Nix into a superstar. So I'm gonna no answer for me on that one. But now let's go into some other little tricky ones. Let's see if you know about this one right here. Quinn Sean going over from Ole Miss to Ohio State. Big deal or no deal?
I mean, first off, anybody that's played the NCAA game, he's a cheat code. Like, he's a legitimate cheat code in that game. There's spin moves all over the place. But anyways, I would say it's a big deal, but you're also having quite a bit. Like, that's going to be one hell of a running back room, because you got Judkins in there, and you've got Travion Henderson that's over there. So I mean, and where's he going to play? Like, are they going to split him slot? Are they going to split him out wide? What are they going to do there? Because they have so many options for what they can do with this field. And I mean, Ryan Day has shown that he will be creative. So I wouldn't be shocked if he was going back and forth between tailback, between wide receiver. I think I've already seen some video of him being moved around quite a bit, because that offense could be legit. I mean, again, that's not really saying much about Ohio State, but this team could be an absolute force and could just be a team that no defense is able to figure out with all that firepower. I'd say it's a big deal, but it's also kind of like he hit on a team just like ATN. He hit on a team that really, it's not major upgrade over what they already currently have. I mean, obviously they lost a lot of talent in their wide receiver department, so you figure he's probably going to be thrown around all over the field. Some deal.
I couldn't really. I don't really have any opposition to him not being a big deal. So I'd have to say that he's got a big. The next one coming up is another small sleeper, not Power 5 guys that play really well, and now he want to go Power 5. Here we are, Nate Noel, running back from App State, who did a great job over there, goes to Mizzou and looks like he's headed for the starting position here. What do you think about our guy Nate? Big deal or no deal?
I'd say big deal. Missouri needed to have a little bit of a little more depth at the running back position. They did very well last year. I'm blanking on the guy's name that was there last year, but it was I think it was their first 1,000-yard rusher that they've had in like a decade or something like that. I forget the stat, but it was like there's been a gap in their productivity at the running back position. Missouri's a hype team. Like, there's a lot of people that are hyping this program up, and rightfully so. They look like they could be a contender for the SEC, for playoffs, for national champs. I'm not going to go that far, but he was underutilized at App State. There were a lot of games where it's like 4th and 1, and he's not in the game for some reason. You're just like that's the best player on the field. Like, get him out there. So I think that this is going to be a very good situation for him. I would not be surprised if he was there at the end of the year, Doak Walker and everything like that. I really think I think this is going to be a big year for him. I think Missouri needed they needed some depth. They needed to get some guys in there, and I really like this move. I think it's a big deal because the guy is just overly talented. Question mark is step up in competition. Like, he was good at App State. Is he going to be good in the SEC? I guess yes. Could I see it otherwise? Absolutely, because how many guys have you seen take a step up in their competition and realize, like, oh, yeah, I'm not as good as I thought it was? But I think it's a big deal. I like him. I think Missouri has a more complete offense because he's now there.
I like it. It's a big deal for me. It's one of my favorite ones. But that's it for big deal or no deal. On to our last section of the show. How you feeling at this point of the show right here? You all right, Moose? You having fun?
I'm hoping we're talking a lot more. I'm a little upset that we're wrapping this up. It's like one more segment. Well, throw 4 more out there. Like, this is.
Hey, we're gonna leave a little room to tap into your show during the year so they can get some of that good stuff, and to tap into us during the year so they can get some of that good stuff too. But let's go over to bang or bust. Now, bang or bust has to do with coaches who are returning 8+ players on offense and 8+ players on defense. So first up, Texas A&M, first year for Mike Elko. He jumps in here right in the heat of the passion right here. 9 on offense, 9 on defense. Banger bust.
Bang. Big time bang. You're giving this guy returning SEC players on both sides of the ball? the dude won at Duke. We talked about it already. Like, Duke is not a football school. Like, that is a basketball powerhouse. And he got Duke into the top 25. This is a big time bang. That guy's got defensive line written all over him. He's got an offensive line written all over him. That guy's going to figure it out. It's just a matter of how consistent is that team going to be. But this is a bang for me.
I love it. I love it. Let's keep it rolling. Next up, Lane Kiffin, Mr. Transfer Portal, has built this year in and year out. Went 11-2 last year in his 5th year here at Ole Miss, and he's returning 10 on offense, 10 on defense. What can Lane Kiffin do with an offense returning 10 starters? Banger bus.
I don't know. I don't know about him. No, I shout out to Wine Time. Wine Time is, I think he's all over Ole Miss, and that might be a spoiler for your season total show. But there's something about Lane Kiffin that just gets me like concerned. All right, here's a question for you. I'm going to flip it back on you. All right, the interviewer now flipping it.
There we go. Let's go. I'm here for it.
Would you be surprised if Kiffin got a big ego, had an upset, and then did the exact same thing later in the year?
Absolutely, because I remember the Lane Kiffin of USC, who was a wrecking ball. And, sometimes it's in you and not on you. And you carry those type of attributes everywhere you go. I mean, he's the transfer portal king. He's dealing with multiple personalities coming from all kinds of different backgrounds and all coming at one. The only good thing to this whole 10 thing is having the same players for multiple years, but it's not like he had them since they were redshirt freshmen. He probably had them since they were another team's headache, and they transferred, a lot of them, right? Some of them were really good, but they transferred over to him as somebody else's headache. He took them, made the best out of them. Now he gets them for one more shot. But I don't know. Lane Kiffin is off. If we could only know what's going on off field, we'd have all the answers.
Yeah, doesn't he feel like he could have that ego that just gets out of control and he just starts doing things? You're just like, what the hell? What the hell is Coach Kiffin doing over here? Like, I could just see that. So I'm not going to call him a bang. I'm not going to call him a bust, because how could you be a bust with all those returners and you have Jackson Dart coming back at quarterback? But I told Wine Time, there's something about him that just makes me concerned, and why I'm not taking their win total over, because it just feels like they could go to Florida and lose. They could have an upset loss mixed in there and then a second one because they were looking forward to an opponent. So I'm not going to say one way or the other. I respect what he's got over there, but I don't really respect him too much.
I feel you 100%. I feel that, anything short of hitting that season win total is a bust. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't be a bang, nothing going anything lower than that. But let's keep it moving into the next one. This one, a lot of people have mixed thoughts about this team too, and I don't know. Here we go. Mark Stoops over here, 12th year, Kentucky. Every year he looks like he gives us a wink that he's getting ready to attack, but then he ends up with a 7-6 record last year, and we thought great of him coming out the gate last year. But this year, 8 on offense, 10 on defense, banger bust on Mark Stoops.
Yeah, I'm probably going to lean bust. I mean, the years that when he had Levis and he had C-Rod, those were the teams that you're like, all right, let's see what he does. And he still was like, they're good, they were better, but it wasn't to the point where you just go, that was the step I thought they were going to take. Mad respect for Stoops as a coach. Mad respect. To survive in the SEC that long, it is impressive. But I don't see this as the team that is going to be that Stoops team that takes the step forward. I think this is going to be a classic Stoops team, a team that plays small ball. They, get those first downs, move the chain, take clock. But I don't see this as a team that's going to go significantly above 500. I could see another 7-6, maybe 8-5, but I don't see anything above that. And that's right where their win total is. So that's the odds makers are kind of seeing the same thing. And they're basically saying, either, just like you alluded to, either you believe this team is going to take the next step or you don't. And I can see why a lot of people are split on this. I don't really have much of a thought on it. I think they're right there. If they're able to do things correctly, if they're able to take care of the ball, if they're able to stop teams on third down, which last year was an issue at times. I don't really lean one way or the other, but I have mad respect to Stoops over there. So that's kind of all I got with him.
There we go. No call on the banger bus. We lucky we're not drinking. You would have had to take a shot for that. But next up, banger bus. Dan Lanning, 12-2 last year. Third year here. I'm high on third year coaches. Everyone knows this. And third year here, having 8 on offense, 9 on defense is showing that you're building this organization in the right direction. And he's all over the news and mentioning everything in success for this year. So he's leaning toward the bang side. Banger bus right here for Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks.
It's got to be a bang, right? I mean, the amount of talent he has. So I'm not going to do the no play. I'm not going to do it 2 times to you, big boss. I will say it's a bang based on the fact that he's got all that talent. He brings in Dylan Gabriel, and it looks like a team that could be a national title contender. And if you were talking about a program that is a national title contender, how's that not a bang? So I definitely lean bang on here. It's Oregon, different conference. I could see some shenanigans, but this team is so talented. They got so many weapons on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to go bang here.
It would be a really disappointing if this team doesn't end up with a bang. On top of the conference change, he comes from the type of athletes that they're going to have on the field in the Big Ten. So this was all a part of the whole, scheme of things happening with the Pac-12 merger over into the Big Ten. So, yeah, has to be a bang right there. I agree 100%. Now, this one right here is kind of tricky because this guy goes way back, one of the oldest coaches in college football. But Kirk Ferentz, 26 years at Iowa. This year, he's returning 10 on offense, which he always need because his offense always just plain potato salad, and 8 on defense, on a defense that ranks high among all the teams in the nation on defense. Banger bus in this one right here for Iowa.
Offense potato salad, no mayo, like awful. Yeah. Big time bang though. Big time bang. Really believe in Iowa this year. That defense, they lost one of the best DBs in the nation, and that's going to hurt a little bit, but they're returning most of that defense, and that defense last year was outstanding. No surprise, Kirk Ferentz is just one of the best defensive guys in college football, but that offense might actually be pretty decent. It's just a question mark about how productive will they be. I don't think they need to be that productive. I could easily see them being a playoff team, maybe getting an upset in the little playoff tournament. I don't think they're a national title team. I don't really think they're that good. But if we're talking playoffs for an Iowa team that has essentially kind of missed out, they've gone to some championship games, but have gotten blown out in them. I got this as a bang, man. I really like Iowa, though. I'm a little partial. I got some stakes in Iowa this year.
Yeah, you got to have bang on Iowa especially when they reach this type of point on offense, because they're always about 5 to 6 or 7 great throws. Like they get some great throws coming down the stretch and win a lot more games, than the 1 or 2 that they lose for every year. But any team such as Iowa, Wyoming, and many others, that you have to rearrange how you do things because of the way that they do things. So they bring something to the table. A lot of these teams coming from the Pac-12, if they have to run up against those guys, they won't even have a clue. They've never been in the dogfight like they're going to put them in. And please don't let the weather help them out even more. So, I'm with you on that one. Bang on Iowa. Next up, Matt Rule, a guy we really, truly respect in his second year at Nebraska, a team that they just praying and hoping and wishing they could get back to who they were once before, and they haven't been able to make it there. But he gets there last year, 5-7, but he looked hopeful in a lot of those games. This year, he's getting 9 on offense, 9 on defense, and they are reorganizing the conference. Where does Matt Rule and this team gonna land on your map?
I like Nebraska. I like Nebraska this year. And Matt Rule, I think, is a fantastic coach. I think they did him dirty out there in Carolina. They brought him in on a crap organization with really crappy players around him. And like, how'd you not be successful with all this crap we gave you? And now he goes back to Nebraska, and his second year, maybe a little ambitious because we've already talked about it a few times. That third year seems to be the magical year. But I like Nebraska. I think they're going the right direction. I think we saw some things at the end of last year where they started being really competitive. You look at those games against Illinois last year where they really took them to them. They went against Wisconsin and only lost by 7, lost by 3 at Iowa towards the end of the year. They had a lot of close losses, and that's one of the main factors. If you're looking at where are those improvements going to happen, you want to see the teams that lost close games. Because when you see teams that lost close games the year before return most of their guys, they learn how to win. They learn how to win. And I think that's what's going to happen here in Nebraska. So they got some close losses last year. I believe they were top 10 in net close losses. And now you're returning most of those guys. Those are signs pointing up. And I like Nebraska this year. I have a stake in them as well. Not as much as Iowa, but I do have a stake in Nebraska this year. So I'm gonna buy it. I'm buying it.
Big bang over here for
bang. My bad. Big bang.
Big bang. Next up, one I kind of feel the same way you feel about that one is how I feel about this guy right here. Matt Campbell, 7-6 last year, 9th year here, and he's another coach with those close losses. But he's getting 10 back on offense and 9 on defense, and he's been able to work the controls from both angles whenever he needed. So I think this could be a big year for Matt Campbell. Bang or bust on this one for you, Moose?
Yeah, bang. Yeah, I'm with you on that. The only thing is Campbell's got to tone it down a little bit with his in-game stuff. I mean, how many times do you have to see other coaches like doing, Coach Campbell, get off the field. Come on, get off the field. Because he's just screaming at a ref. Like, he's got to tone that down a little bit. I mean, I get football is kind of the place for that over other sports, but it doesn't help like when you get yourself all amped up, riled up, and then have to make important decisions. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I don't make great decisions when I get all amped up and I'm on, my adrenaline's pumping. But that defense last year was very good, and they're returning most of those guys. That offense looked like it was figuring things out. It was night and day from their game at Eastern Michigan last year where they couldn't score at all against, granted, it was a decent Eastern Michigan defense, but I am using the rubric. Sorry to throw that teacher stuff in. Couldn't help it, big boss. That rubric of what a good defense is in the MAC versus what good defenses are basically anywhere else. And the fact that they got shut out there is kind of like, this might be difficult. But they started to figure some things out. So I got bang for Iowa State, very similar to Iowa. I don't have as much of a stake in them, but I do like Iowa State. I am on them this year, and I think that they're going to be productive. I think they can be a legit contender this year.
Hey, they started banging in Little Rock, Arkansas, and now they banging in Iowa. Let's go, Iowa and Iowa State. Last one right here for my man, MooseMoney Bets. Has been a great time. I thought we could do this a little faster, but we enjoyed ourselves, and we got down here in a nice speed of time as well. But this is our last one right here. Let's go over this one. David Renza, 5th year here at Baylor. And he's getting 10 on offense, 9 on defense. This is where you want to be, because after this, you could be headed straight over to the hot seat, Dave. But bang bust for this one, Moose.
Yeah, that seat's pretty hot. I kind of think this might be a little bit of a bust. I know he's returning some guys, but that was a bad team last year. What was it, 3-9? I think 4-8. They were well under 500, and you're returning guys that there were not a ton of net close losses. They were blown out quite a bit. So you're returning guys that didn't really get into a lot of close games. I mean, I still remember that game against Texas where I think they had like 21.5 points. It's like, man, you're giving Baylor 21 points against an in-state rival. Like, no. And then Texas easily covered. So I think that Aranda's hot seat is going to get hotter and hotter as the year goes on. I think he's a decent coach. I think he's a good coach. I think he's had some really good moments over there in Baylor, but it also kind of seems like the league might have, at least specifically, the coaches in his conference have been able to kind of figure out what it is he likes to do. They do get a little bit better quarterback productivity this year. They don't have to rely on Shapen like they did last year. So I expect them to be a little bit better in that department. But I don't see Baylor doing much more than maybe a 500 year, and that's a bust to me.
Yeah, that one right there is a quick lesson to all the young cappers who's watching the show that love college football, but you watch too much ESPN and all that other stuff. But just because a team is returning a lot of players doesn't mean much if the players weren't good in the first place.
Right.
So, just getting another bag of stale Skittles is not gonna make a rainbow. So that's just a lesson to be learned right there with Baylor. But it's been a great time, Moose, man. I'm looking forward to working with you a lot more this year. You know, especially with off-camera stuff, but recordings and stuff. But anyways, I come hang out with you guys too on some live shows. But definitely been my pleasure, man. You did more than I could even expect on how great you answered all of these spots right here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the people gonna comment about this show. Any other thing you want to tell the people? Let them know one more time where you're gonna be at, how to get in touch with you, who you are. Yeah, Moose didn't mention a lot of stuff, about his personal life that makes him a great capper, about as well as an extraordinary human being for the stuff that he does. But yeah, shout out to my man Moose from San Diego. But let them know where you at, Moose.
You guys can find me on X, Twitter. I'm not sure what your vernacular is. Like I said earlier, MooseMoney Bets, right down there. It's written. I'm doing the morning preview show with my boy Dabby Capp. That's going to be on Pub Sports Radio. I will be posting more of my picks on X, Twitter. So make sure you're checking in. Make sure you're following. But more than anything, boss, I love doing this. A little couple of tidbits that I kind of want to throw in there that I had notes for. Indiana looks like an interesting team with Signetti going over there from JMU. That's very interesting. So if you have anything on that, if you have any questions about that program, hit me up. And Bill O'Brien returning to college football at Boston College. Super interesting what might happen over there. A team that looked like it was getting much better at the end of the year. All those things. If you want to have any more information about that, you can follow me on X, Twitter at MooseMoneyBets. And if you have anything that you want to do on a Saturday morning, boss, come on over. Love to have you. Get the OG crew back. Boss in the sauce coming on right here.
There it is there. And we are out of here for our first edition.
Oh, this you crazy mother.